Hello everyone. It's very interesting because the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is one of those types of devices and one of those types of, things in general, those watches, that when it came out, it was still a very, very cool, interesting type of device that Apple ended up making. And I will definitely tell you for the most part, these types of watches are still very much worth buying. They're only a couple years old now, but they're still very good, very premium types of devices you can basically buy. So if you want to go and pick any of these types of watches up that I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of the Apple Watch Ultra 2. These types of watches look and feel very, very premium. You are getting a pretty big, massive size on these types of Apple Watches. You have to remember that these particular devices are very big. They're the biggest type of watches Apple makes. And on the front in and of itself, you're getting an always-on LTPO OLED display, and it gets up to 3000 nits of brightness. This is in and of itself a massive difference right there. Like being able to go through and pick up these types of iPads that are basically giving you, or these Apple Watches that are giving you this type of capability is something that's actually really cool in and of itself. So I'm a massive fan when it comes down to that, because the display in and of itself is just so cool. Now you're also able to go through and you're basically getting the buttons on this side as well as the additional button on the other side that allows you to go through and, use it. It's basically like a toggle on button, which is pretty sick. On the back side, you're able to get this little charging portion. So it allows you to go through and just, charge up your Apple Watch as you normally would, standard stuff within a watch. Internally, it does have things like 64 gigabytes of storage, which is really nice to have, and it is a really durable watch. You can throw this thing around, dip it in water, you can do really anything you want to with it, and it is a very, very durable watch. That is probably one of the biggest assets going on for this type of watch when it comes down to it. So if you are trying to go through and buy some sort of a device, that one is probably going to be giving you the most amount of experience there. It's going to be giving you a really good type of capability when it comes down to it from that side. Also, the battery life inside of these types of Apple Watches are so nice. Being able to go through and get these types of Apple Watches with this type of battery life is going to be a really nice thing to have. And that right there is going to be another really big advantage for this type of watch as well, because it is really going to hold up very, very well against a lot of other watches from that particular site too. It's also going to be able to go through and give you really good health tracking features. And it's going to be able to give you all those tracking, when it comes down to notifications and things like that. So if you are trying to go through and pick up a watch, this thing is going to be giving you a pretty good experience, I would say, from that particular side, which I think is a really nice thing to keep in mind here. Now, on the other side, there are a few cons here. Number one, it is a fairly expensive type of watch. If you're wanting a watch that, it's going to be a little cheaper, you're going to have to kind of look elsewhere, because this thing is pretty much going to be costing a little bit more money than you'd probably think. So even in the used market, this thing is still pretty expensive too. So it really just comes down to how much you want to spend on a watch. If you really don't want to spend that much, well then this is probably going to be one of those watches you're probably going to have to avoid for the most part. But again, not the biggest deal in the world, but again, if you're trying to go through and pick up a watch, that is going to be one of those big things to keep in mind there. Now, on top of that, this thing, it's a pretty hefty, pretty big type of Apple Watch. So if you are wanting to go through and maybe save a little bit more money, you're probably once again going to have to look elsewhere, because this thing does actually end up, it's pretty heavy. It's a pretty hefty type of watch. And the last thing you probably want is to go and just buy a watch like this and have it, it's going to be a little bit too bulky for you. So you might want to try it out before you end up buying it. And also, there's not really an insane amount of upgrades coming from the Apple Watch Ultra 1 to the Apple Watch Ultra 2. So if you were already kind of okay with an Apple Watch Ultra 1, that one might be the one that might make a little bit more sense to keep, kind of, because that one might be giving you just a better type of option overall. But again, it's not the biggest deal in the world, but it could just be one of those small little things that you might end up seeing from that particular side as well. So, from my personal opinion, I do think the Apple Watch Ultra 2 is completely still worth buying for sure. It's a beautiful type of watch, but it is a pretty big watch, and depending on who you are, you might be trying to see if there's other options you can kind of go through and kind of pick up a watch for the most part. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that will mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.